Have you ever built your own computer? I mean, really gone for it, picking out the perfect graphics card, the fastest processor you can find, the best motherboard to tie it all together. Well, for decades, building a mobile network, it was the complete opposite of that. Imagine just buying a sealed, pre-built computer from one company with no way to upgrade or change anything. That's what it was like. But now, 5G is shaking things up with a really cool idea called Open RAN. So let's get into it and see what this is all about. And right here, this slide just nails the main idea. On one side, you have the old way. You bought everything, and I mean everything, hardware and software, from just one company. It was totally a sealed proprietary box. But ORAN, it completely flips that script. It's all about that custom-built PC vibe, where network operators can finally pick and choose the absolute best parts from all different kinds of companies and make them work together as one awesome system. Okay, so you might be asking, what was so bad about the old way? Well, it created what we call a walled garden, and that's a huge problem. When you lock a mobile operator into just one company's ecosystem, you basically slam the door on innovation. Costs go up, and your flexibility to upgrade or try something new, it pretty much disappears. Yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. When your hardware and your software are basically chained together by a single vendor, you are stuck. You've got zero flexibility. You can't just swap out one piece of equipment for a better one that just came out. You definitely can't bring in some cool new software from an up-and-coming company. This, right here, is the textbook definition of vendor lock-in. And that, of course, brings us to the solution: Open RAN. Seriously, just think of this as the answer to every network engineer's prayers. They finally get more choice, more flexibility, and way more control. It's basically the PC builder's dream, but for the massive world of 5G networks. So ORAN stands for Open Radio Access Network, and its whole mission really is to break apart that old one-size-fits-all network. It does this by using open, standardized connections. Think of them like USB ports for the network, so that hardware from one company can talk to software from another company just seamlessly. The end goal? Making our 5G networks more affordable and way more adaptable for the future. Okay, when you break it down, ORAN really comes down to these four core ideas. First, you split the hardware from the software. They're not stuck together anymore. Second, you use those open interfaces we talked about, so all the different parts can actually communicate with each other. Third, this creates a whole ecosystem where lots of different vendors can compete, which is great for innovation. And finally, the whole system becomes driven by smart software, not by clunky fixed hardware. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. If we're building our own custom network, what are the actual parts we get to choose from? This is that fancy word we used before, disaggregation. It just means we're breaking that single old-school base station into separate pieces that can all work together. First up, we have the ORU, which is the radio unit. Super simple. This is the part that actually talks to your phone. It's sending and receiving all those radio signals. The perfect way to think about it is like a really high-performance Wi-Fi card and antenna for the network. It's the piece that handles the actual wireless connection. Okay, next in our custom build is the ODU, the distributed unit. Now, this thing is the network's real-time workhorse. It's doing all the heavy lifting, processing those radio signals in a split second. It handles some really complex stuff that controls how data flies through the air. So yeah, the best way to picture it is as the super fast, specialized CPU for the network. And the third major part is the OCU, or the centralized unit. This is the brains of the whole operation, really. It's the control center. It manages all the higher-level stuff that isn't quite so time-sensitive, and it makes sure everything is coordinated properly. It's kind of like the motherboard in our PC build. It's what keeps all the different components talking to each other and working together smoothly. So the big question is, how do you get a radio unit from, say, company A to talk to a distributed unit from company B? Well, that's where the real magic comes in. Open interfaces. These are basically the universal connectors for the whole network. You have something called the front haul that connects the radio part to the processing part, and the mid haul connects that processing part to the brain. These open standards are the promise that guarantees any part from any company can just plug in and play nice. But here's the thing. ORAN isn't just about mixing and matching hardware. That's cool, but the real revolution, the game changer, is the software. This is the point where the network stops being just a bunch of dumb pipes for data and transforms into a truly intelligent, adaptable system. And right at the heart of all this new intelligence is something called the RIC, or the RAN Intelligent Controller. If you want to see the shift to software, this is it. Think of the RIC as an AI-powered operating system for the entire network. And just like an OS, you can run apps on it. These apps use machine learning to constantly watch the network and make it better in real time. For example, an app could automatically redirect bandwidth to a crowded stadium during a game. It's that smart. Now, how is this even possible? It all comes down to virtualization. Okay, so instead of having every network job tied to a specific physical piece of hardware, those jobs become flexible software programs. Yep, just like apps on your phone. And these network apps can run on any generic cloud server out there. This makes the network incredibly efficient and, you guessed it, super easy to upgrade. Okay, I know that was a lot of tech talk, so let's bring it back. Why should you care about any of this? How does this actually affect you and your 5G connection? Let's connect these dots and talk about the real-world payoff. Honestly, the benefits are huge. First off, by breaking that vendor lock-in, mobile carriers can finally shop around for the best, most affordable equipment. That means lower costs to build out 5G for everyone. It also blows the door wide open for smaller, super innovative companies to jump in and compete, which pushes the technology forward way faster. And this whole flexible setup, it's the perfect foundation for whatever comes next, like 6G. Now let's be real for a second. It's not all easy. The promise of all this innovation and cost savings is absolutely massive, but the challenge is just as real. I mean, think about it. Getting all these different parts from maybe dozens of different companies to work together perfectly, that's a monster integration job. It takes a ton of testing to make sure the network is as fast and reliable as we all expect it to be. So, as we start to wrap this up, one thing is crystal clear. The future of our wireless networks is open. You can really think of this whole transformation as a simple three-step journey. First, we had the traditional closed-box network from a single vendor. Then, step 2 was disaggregation, that moment we finally pried the hardware and software apart. And that led us right here to step 3, Open RAN, a genuinely flexible, truly open, and competitive world for building the networks of tomorrow. And really, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. The move to Open RAN isn't just another tech upgrade. It's a fundamental change in philosophy. We are literally moving away from rigid, fixed hardware and into a world of flexible, intelligent, software-driven systems. And that is what's going to define the future of how we all stay connected. So, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. For the past 20 years, we've built the most incredible apps for our computers and our phones, right? Things we couldn't have even imagined. So now that our actual networks are becoming just as open and programmable, what kind of network apps are we going to build next? What will we create to power the next wave of communication? The possibilities, really, are just starting to open up.